Now, the Star Wars universe has never been in short supply of dastardly villains. Darth Vader, Emperor Palpatine, Count Dooku, Supreme Leader Snoke, and Darth Maul are among the most dangerous beings the Jedi have ever faced. But sometimes the best, worst people are not actually Sith or attached to the Force at all, and that's what we're here to talk about today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most evil Star Wars characters who aren't Sith. Number 10. Newt Gun Ray. If you ask anyone who was responsible for placing the Sith into power, many would claim it was the Emperor and Darth Vader, but it's easy to forget how the Viceroy of the Trade Federation, Newt Gun Ray, got the ball rolling. Without his aid, money, droids, ships, or weapons, the Empire would have never come to fruition. Now, it's obvious that the Viceroy was unaware of Darth Sidious's true intentions when he allied with him. If he knew his benefactor was willing to commit genocide on a galactic scale, it's likely that he wouldn't have agreed to the terms. But that doesn't change the fact that this self-serving alien was willing to let the citizens of Naboo die, purely to ensure his own financial stability. After Queen Amidala put a stop to his schemes, Newt began harboring an obsessive grudge against her, repeatedly attempting to have her assassinated. When those plans failed, he literally threw his resources at Count Dooku, hoping that he would destroy her, once again being oblivious of the Sith's master plan. Newt Gun Ray may have been manipulated to help Darth Sidious, but it didn't change the fact that he is most definitely a monster. Number 9. The Pike Boss. Everybody who lives in the Star Wars universe knows the Hutts have a firm grip on the criminal underworld across the galaxy, but when it comes to the supply of narcotics, the Pike Syndicate, well, they reign supreme. Despite the power they wield, little is known about this aquatic-like species. Their inner workings are so mysterious, its leader's name is actually unknown. But one thing that is known about the Pike Boss is his ruthless and cruel methods to retain power. When he learned that the Tusken Raiders had settled near one of his trade routes, he could have bribed them just to move on, but instead he had them all killed, including the women and children. When Boba Fett learned about the massacre on the Raiders, whom he regarded as family, he confronted the Pike Boss. Instead of admitting to his crimes, he claimed the Khatan Striders were responsible for the culling and encouraged Boba to wipe them all out as well. When Boba realized that he'd been deceived, the Pike leader launched everything he had at the bounty hunter's territory, decimating the city and killing countless civilians. Because the Pike Boss has a calm demeanor, it's easy to mistake him as a reasonable person, but make no mistake, he's callous, tyrannical, and cold-blooded, and not just because he's a fish. Number 8. Director Krennic. You can tell a lot about a person by what motivates them. Some people are fueled by love, fear, hate, or anger. However, Orson Krennic was driven by respect, or more accurately, a lack of respect. When he was placed in charge of the Death Star, the Imperial Director believed that he was destined for great things. But after his plans fell apart and he was humiliated by Galen, Jyn Erso, Moff Tarkin, and Darth Vader, Krennic became increasingly erratic. Desperate for validation, Krennic was willing to commit any act of evil. Although most Imperials perform deplorable acts on a regular basis, they commit such deeds out of duty. Krennic, on the other hand, well, he thoroughly enjoys it. He smiles when he tells Galen that he was responsible for destroying Jedha City, and there's pride in his voice when he talks about how his soldiers slaughtered the Jedi. After his forces exterminated hundreds of thousands of civilians, Krennic says that he admires the beauty of the fire and the smoke, proving how sick and twisted he truly is. If he didn't meet his end when he did, Krennic would have probably burned half the galaxy in a vain attempt to be recognized by his superiors. Number 7. Dryden Voss. In the Star Wars universe, most villains make no attempt to hide their immoral side, but the Crimson Dawn's supposed leader, Dryden Voss, is a different kind of baddie. This crime boss is charming, witty, charismatic, and mannerly. He's the kind of guy that you could have a drink with, as well as a laugh, and instead of hiding in a dank lair or on a lava-filled planet, you can find him partying with his subjects surrounded by opulence. But because of his outward persona, many don't realize what a psychopath Dryden is when they first meet him. Although he acts nice to his lackeys, they are not his friends. In his eyes, they are cattle. The demented leader highlights this fact by branding his employees with the Crimson Dawn logo to prove their unwavering loyalty to him. He may be all smiles when he hears what he wants, but the instant somebody questions him, his relaxed demeanor dissolves and his ruthless side erupts. When you have something to offer, he is your bosom buddy, but the moment you've served your purpose, well, he'll dispose of you in a heartbeat. Number 6. General Hess. In The Mandalorian, Din and Migs make their way to a mining hub on Marak to locate Moff Gideon's cruiser. Although the pair try to stay undercover, their mission is jeopardized when they bump into Mayfield's former employer, General Hess. Mayfield does his best to keep his cool, but finds it impossible when Hess gloats about the triumph of Operation Cinder, a genocide committed by the Empire that killed off many of their own men, including Mayfield's friends. Unable to control his anger, Mayfield shoots Hess dead, exposing him and Din to the troops. Now, Hess may have only appeared in Star Wars for around 3 minutes, but boy, this piece of scum knows how to leave an imprint. He speaks with such relish while recounting the Empire's atrocities that you can tell that he's proud of the part that he played in them. His utter devotion makes him sound less like a loyal officer and more like a cult member. His appearance may have been brief, but Hess proved to be among the most despicable people in the entire franchise. Number 5. Moff Gideon. When the Empire collapsed, it created a power vacuum, allowing minor criminals to rise to a position of authority overnight, including an Imperial called Gideon. Originally, this soldier played a crucial role in the Great Purge, which led to the extermination of many Mandalorians. Shortly after the Empire was destroyed, he seized control over the remnants of the Imperial forces, becoming the new face of terror to the galaxy. But what makes Gideon so different to most Imperials is that he's not driven by wealth or destroying worlds, but by knowledge. Many people, including Din, believe that Gideon has a gift for knowing everything about everyone. Sadly, this skill makes Gideon a more efficient hunter and killer, since he knows how his enemies think, how to get under their skin, and how to make them do as he desires. Even though he likes to come across as a composed and meditative person, Gideon's emotions do often get the better of him. When he was unable to capture Din, he shot his own men out of frustration. When his people revealed the presence to the Mandalorian tribe on Navarro, he doesn't hesitate to eliminate those soldiers. Basically, he's a bad egg and he knows it, but Gideon loves what he does so much, the insidious Imperial doesn't care who he hurts, so long as he gets what he wants. Number 4. Jabba the Hutt. Although the Hutts are the most feared crime family in the galaxy, no one is more terrifying than Jabba. The self-proclaimed eminence of Tatooine controls nearly every illegal operation on the planet, including trafficking, slavery, and piracy. As reprehensible as his actions are, Jabba believes that his work is necessary since it generates most of Tatooine's wealth. Despite seeing his business as necessary for the economy, Jabba is ruthless, hedonistic, and cruel. In Return of the Jedi, we see him enslaving prisoners, killing his workers on a whim, and feeding his own people to the Sarlacc pit monster. But if you knew half the stuff that Jabba has committed throughout his 600-year life, you'd realize that he's worse than you originally thought. In Jabba the Hutt, the dynastic trap comic, it's revealed that the nefarious slug gorges on human prisoners while they're still alive. According to the Star Wars character encyclopedia, he also instructed one of his dancers to dress like his mother, which is, pretty messed up. Considering that he spends his spare time torturing droids, abusing animals, including his rancor, and profiting off war, Jabba doesn't seem to have a single redeeming quality. Number 3. General Hux. More often than not, people become wicked because they had a bad life. But since Armitage Hux orchestrated his own father's death while he was barely an adult, it looks like he was a bad seed from the get-go. Because of his callous actions, Supreme Leader Snoke saw promise in Hux and so brought him under his wing. After he was promoted to general, Hux trained and indoctrinated a new wave of stormtroopers with astounding swiftness and efficiency. Within a few years, he transformed the First Order into a more dangerous force than the Empire, surpassing all of Snoke's expectations. But it's not his diligence that makes him dangerous, it's actually his insecurities. Feeling like he's at the heel of Kylo Ren and Snoke, Hux feels like he must prove himself by committing more and more atrocities, including destroying entire star systems. Although many Imperials such as Tarkin and Pride are loyal to the cause, Hux actually isn't. And that's because he's considered killing Kylo Ren the first chance that he got, and ultimately he betrayed the First Order when things weren't going his way. So it's clear that Hux doesn't care about anyone but himself. Number 2. Moff Tarkin. Being a Grand Moff and the overseer of the Death Star, Governor Tarkin has seen the Empire commit more evil than most. On top of that, he's one of the few who obeys Darth Vader out of duty rather than fear. Despite the fact that he believes the Empire's actions are for the greater good, there's no question that Tarkin is a bad one to the bone. He fully embraced the Great Jedi Purge despite serving under Jedi Master Even Peel during the Clone Wars. Even though the Death Star was Director Krennic's idea, Tarkin took full credit for it the moment that it was operational. Which brings us to why Tarkin is so infamous. To discover the location of the Death Star battle plans from Princess Leia, Tarkin threatened to blow up her homeworld Alderaan. As drastic as this action is, you could argue it's a necessary countermeasure since the battle plans could indeed lead to the destruction of Tarkin's base. But when he learned where the battle plans resided, he blew it up anyway. Despite having nothing to gain, Tarkin killed billions of innocent people purely to fulfill his own sick satisfaction. And number 1, Grand Admiral Thrawn. At first, Grand Admiral Thrawn started off as a Star Wars Legends character, debuting in the novel Heir to the Empire, but he was so popular that he was incorporated into Star Wars canon, becoming an overarching villain in Star Wars Rebels and is set to appear in the Disney Plus series Ahsoka. Thrawn instantly made an impression with viewers and readers, not because of just how thoroughly his character is written, but also for how boundlessly evil he is. If even a single rebel escapes him, he will unleash a torrent of devastation upon an entire world in the hopes of killing them. He has crippled planets, annihilated civilizations, and disassembled entire sections of the galaxy purely to further his agenda. Although many villains have committed similar atrocities, what makes Thrawn more horrifying is how effective his methods are. Unlike Tarkin, he isn't afraid to get his hands dirty. Unlike Hux, his loyalty to the cause never wavers. Unlike Vader, emotions never cloud his judgment, and unlike the Emperor, he does not hide. Because he has eroded away such weakness, it has allowed him to become the most efficient members of the entire Empire, and also easily the most evil. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 most evil Star Wars characters who aren't Sith. I hope that you enjoyed that and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can swing by Instagram where it's the same handle. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. I want to end this on a bit more of a positive note, considering all of the evil characters that we've covered here, and remind you, my friend, that you are a massive ledge. You deserve all the best things in life, like love, happiness, and success, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise. All right? I want you to go out there and smash your life goals today, because I believe in you and you need to believe in yourself as well. Big love to you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.